Hi Camille, I'm Ezelle from The Upcoming. It's really lovely to speak to you today. Congratulations on this fantastic series.
Thank you.
Perhaps you could start by telling us a little bit about, for those that haven't seen it, what can viewers expect when they watch Tout va bien, Everything is Fine?
Well, it's Tout va bien is about a family, a French pretty traditional family, and they have to go through something very difficult, a nightmare, which is a very, very serious illness of a little girl. She's 9, and so you have the grandparents, parents, her aunt, her uncle, and they have to pass through this terrible event. I know how frightening can this speech be, but what I really wanted to tell is how life is strong when death is around, and this family is, I hope, very realistic. So sometimes it's kind of funny because you have a tragic situation, but you have real life also, and so it's very mixed up. And what I wanted to do is I wanted every character to be very realistic, and so that everyone can recognize himself into this family and into each member of this family, because they do what they can. Sometimes it's not very adept, but they defend themselves from anxiety and sadness, and sometimes it's funny, even if it's difficult.
And obviously, I know it was a little bit of a collaborative process with you, with Eric Rochin and Xavier and Kathy. There's quite a few involved in the process of creating this, but can you tell me where the story came from? What inspired you to do it?
What inspired me? It's the connection between two things. The first thing is, in scriptwriter schools, one of the first things you learn is that a good character is a character with a very big problem, a challenge. So characters reveal themselves in challenge and problems. And so I choose to pick one of the most terrible problems you can have in life. I mean, twice terrible. It's because it's illness and because it's a child. So, of course, it's very difficult. And why this problem? Because my family and we had to go through this problem a few years ago. So it was something I knew. And for me, it's easy to talk about something I knew. Even if the series is a real fiction, I am not telling my family life in the show. It's I change a lot of things, but about feelings, about emotions. It's pretty things I've been through, and my family have been through. So something I knew.
Well, I'm sorry you went through that, but thank you for telling us. And obviously, the women in this are really striking. You've got sort of Sarah showing the reality of her situation, wanting to kind of run away from the grief. You've got Claire as a stepmother struggling, and being in that very real place of struggling with that. Then Anne hoping her lover is a jealous one, but then realising she's the one that kind of gets his despair when she realises she's not the only one in his life. And actually the strength of Rose too. It's a real portrait of complex and strong female characters, isn't it, in the story?
Thank you so much for saying that. I hope so. I hope they are real and strong women. Yes, they are very different from each other. We have Marion. She's the most impacted by the drama because she's a mother. And I think each of them has a defense reaction against anxiety, against depression, sadness. So each of them do what they can. And sometimes what they can is a bit surprising. Sometimes what they do doesn't seem relevant, but I think they do what they can to survive in their mind, to survive the situation. And yes, so Marion is more needs a place and somebody to be with where she's not mother of the sick child. So she finds herself a way and a place to be someone else. And she needs that to be able to help her daughter. It's connected. I mean, she needs to be deconnected to be able to be a good mother with her child. Claire, she's more active. She's very dynamic. She's always, moving, running everywhere and taking everything in charge. And too much. It's too much. Her mother says that to her. She says it's too much. And yes, the too much is a way not to collapse at some point. So, and Nicole is not Nicole. Sorry, Anne. The character name is Anne, but Nicole is a great actress. Well, they are all great actresses, but Nicole is for me. Anne is very funny. She's a very narcissistic character, and she's a mediatic person, and so she drowned herself into the mediatic circus about her work, and her work is to write books about happiness, and she kind of believes in meritocracy, and she says on her book she writes happiness is possible, you have to work for it, you have to do stuff and to think some ways to find happiness. And I think she's a character who's the more impacted by the events, because you can't be happy when a child you love is very, very ill and she could die from this illness. She's, 70 years old, and she has said that all her life long. So it's very difficult for her to change her look on life. For every character, I think the illness will make them change. There is a transplant, the narrow bone transplant for the little girl. But I think every adult around her will kind of have a transplant of tragedy in your life, in your body, and then you react differently.
Oh, that's a very good way of putting it. Thank you. And so, can you also talk about the casting process, choosing, Virginie and Nicole as your leads in this? What was it about them that seemed the perfect fit?
Yeah, I think especially Virginie and Nicole as mother and daughter, I think it's spectacular. How I believe in it when I see them together. When the first rushes, the first pictures came, I was like, oh my God, they really look like mother and daughter. And I think they also share the character. They look like each other a little bit, even if Claire would be mad to hear that. But they have a lot in common. The energy, yes, running everywhere, always having something to say. A nervosity also. They are a bit stressful, but both of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I think Marion is often in families you have two sisters, very, very different from each other. And I think Marion and Virginie, we believe it's possible also. The blonde one, the brown one, the calm one, the nervous one. I think they are good sisters too.
Yes, I agree. And I think also, aside from the tragedy and then their complex stories from each of them, there's so many layers in this that you bring together. There's also the comedy that you mentioned. So was that really important for you to have that layer to the story as well?
Yes, I think for me life is never pure. It's always very mixed. I think pure tragedy doesn't really exist or not long in life, and pure comedy either, but I think life is drama, so a mix of tragedy and comedy. So it was, yes, very important to me that the show is realistic, and so we have both of them doing like a little dance together. Yes.
Obviously, being on set in Paris, so are there any kind of challenges or standout moments for you working with this cast that you think, I'm really proud of that, or gosh, that was a bit of a challenge?
The set was great. Actually, the shooting was very, very nice moment. I was very afraid because it was 5 months shooting, which is very long, with a lot of directors change, because we have 4 directors. But yeah, it was very pleasant, and to shoot in Paris also was, of course, a great pleasure. Not always easy for the crew, but it was a great moment.
Thank you so much for speaking.
No, you're welcome.
Congratulations on it all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.